Project 70 is now available on Topps, and I am going to talk about some of the changes and some of the things that I'm excited for with this new set. So Project 70 is officially out. The first 3 cards have been released, and there is a little bit of changes coming to the product from last year. Obviously, last year was Project 2020, where they took 20 of the most iconic Topps baseball designs, and they took 20 artists within, some of them in the sports space, some of them just in kind of a different space, and they brought them in and they had them design each of the 20 artists the 20 rookie cards, and it was about a 400 card checklist that, if many of you remember, it took from about when it released, probably around this time last year, I think, to almost the end of December. And there was a lot that happened with that set. There were, I had Blake Jameson on the podcast probably a week or two ago, and he talked about one of the crazier moments where, he realized that the set was kind of blowing up, and one of his cards was actually one of the higher print run cards from that original product. Now they've upped the artist list to about 51, and it looks like they're going to be releasing 3 cards at a time. So I don't know if their timeline is going to be exactly the same, but some of the other cool changes that I think they made were that if you collect all the... Actually, yeah, so the checklist is going to be larger, but I think each of the artists got 20 cards, because now that I'm thinking about it, I remember seeing this part that I'm actually about to talk about. If you collect all of the cards, you're going to be eligible, and you have to buy them through Topps, too. That's the other thing. I think that Topps put out this information. You have to buy the cards through Topps, which I think this year they're $20 per card, but I think you can buy them in bulk. This is what they did last year. You can buy them in bulk and get them down to roughly $15 a card. But if you buy all 20 cards with the same Topps account, you're going to be eligible for a gold print. I believe that's what they were saying in the information that I saw. Now, I kind of wish they would put out what that print actually is going to be. I think it would entice people maybe to collect the cards a little bit more. I think obviously we're going to see a wider gap between when the artist cards are coming out. I guess. I mean, I think if they're going to be releasing 3 cards at a time, I'm thinking the timeline will be about the same. But one of the other big changes is that they're going to have gold foil cards numbered to 70, I believe, which obviously Project 70, it's the 70th year of Topps. These gold foil cards are going to be numbered to 70. I think it's a really cool addition. I think, adding these cards to the checklist is going to make people, I guess, want them more. And I mean, it's strange if you really look back at the narrative around the set last year when it came out. Like, people, I have a graphic design background. If anybody has listened to the podcast or watched any of these videos, you probably heard me talk about that. So Project 2020 for me was a huge set when it first came out, because it was all about art, and it was all about these artists creating some of these iconic cards. And at least from what it looks like this year, it doesn't look like there are much parameters. They've only come out with the first 3 cards, which I've had up on screen during this video. Ben Baller, Ermsy, and DJ Skee were the first 3 cards of this set. So Ben Baller designed a Mookie Betts card, Ermsy designed a Fernando Tatis card, and then DJ Skee designed a Babe Ruth card. So I don't think they had I'm assuming they had some sort of set list that they had to choose from when it came to the players, but clearly they're not doing rookie cards, and all these cards right here, obviously on the screen, the ones that I included, those ones I don't think are rookie cards that came out that they're redesigning. I think they're basically designing their own set of cards, which is something that I would love to do. And I mean, if anybody from Topps is watching this video and next year they do Project 71, I'd love to be a part of that. I mean, the design background is sort of how I got into sports cards in the first place, actually, when I was doing this account, the Herosforsale, back probably I'd say March of 2018, maybe in the May area. I forget the exact. Actually, it would have been May, because I remember my first post was in May of 2018. The account was really just about reviewing graphic design, like reviewing cards, and that actually helped me learn the market a little bit. And it's kind of the way that I chose to do content back then. Was I wanted to learn the market better, and the way that I essentially did it was that I essentially took the top leaders from baseball, because I started out mainly doing a lot of baseball, and I took the leaders from that day, or the stat leaders, excuse me, and I basically went to their cards and I reviewed. I had a blog that I did some blogging, so I reviewed their rookie card, and then I chose a different card kind of from a different set. So I don't know, the first maybe 20 to 30, maybe even 40 to 50. I don't remember the exact number, but the first few posts that I did were all just literally just talking about the design, which was kind of interesting because as a graphic design major in college, I didn't really do much writing. Like all the projects and stuff that I was doing for classes were all projects. They were all design projects. So the typography and the writing skills that I was sort of learning on the fly, like if you go back to a lot of the posts, some of them probably don't make much sense. And I would even argue that maybe some of the posts now don't make much sense because, like I said, the copy and the writing background is something that I'm learning almost every single day. So if you go back to some of those earlier posts, some of the writing probably doesn't make much sense. And it was creative writing where I was trying to describe the cards in a way that was interesting because I'd seen people make Instagrams and make blogs where they were explaining designs of stuff, and I was like, I can do that, and that's sort of what the some of the history at least behind my account was. So going back to Project 2020. So when this product first came out, I was like, this is going to be super cool. Like, I'm super excited to see what these artists are going to do, and it really exploded. And I think it helped that set become, I think, one of the more iconic sets of 2020. I think it also was releasing around the time like when COVID first hit, so that may or may not have had something to do with it. I can't, you'll see articles written that are like, COVID is the reason why cards are exploding. It's like, it was definitely a factor, but I don't think it was a factor enough where it's like the number one reason, which is what a lot of these articles are making it out to be. I think it's kind of the same with this set. Like, it's not the number one reason why Project 2020 really blew up, but it definitely helped in a way, I would say, because people were home, they were kind of searching the internet, they found out Topps is coming out with this new product. Everybody's super excited for it. Well, not everybody, because some people don't like art, and that was sort of some of the pushback, and even some of the pushback. I don't know. If you don't like the set, like, you just don't. I don't know. It's a very strange concept maybe for people. If they don't like something, just don't talk about it. Like, it seems like I see a lot of people who don't like stuff on Twitter, and that's maybe just the nature of Twitter. Like, if you've heard me refer to sports card Twitter in a way that's a little bit negative, it's more just because it sort of is negative, and there's nothing. There are positive people on Twitter, obviously, but for the most part, like, you're going on design Twitter, or if you're going on sports card Twitter, it's going to be more negative than it is positive. So sports card Twitter was definitely one of the groups of collectors that didn't like this set when it first came out because they like more traditional cards, and these were obviously designs that were the rookie cards of some of these iconic players, but they weren't, it wasn't a traditional card, which is something that, I guess most people kind of were looking for with some of this set. And obviously bringing in like an Ermsy or a Ben Baller, or, Tyson Beck is a sports designer, so he has some experience designing for Topps. But then you have people like F. Dot, and then you have people like Keith Shore, and Fauci, and all these people that were not sports designers designing these cards and creating art pieces, essentially. And that's sort of what I talked about with Blake Jameson on the podcast, where some of these artists, they make art that isn't $20, and so you're getting almost like a print and a baseball card. And I think I think the big thing about this project and about the product itself is just the fact that Topps is bringing in artists that may not be in the sports design industry. Now, DJ Skee obviously has like a sports card podcast and, does a lot of things with sports, but you're bringing in a lot of new artists too. The list expanded from 20 to 51, which I would imagine they probably shot for 70. If they landed at 51, I would imagine they probably shot for 70 because they are trying to integrate the 70 into a lot of the products and a lot of the stuff that you're seeing with Topps products. So I'm assuming that's kind of why you're seeing that number shoot up so high. With the 51, I'm excited to see kind of what they're going to do and if it's going to be, how they're going to approach the set going forward, because there's obviously going to be the artist proofs, which are the like gold plated cards, and now they're going to be including these foil cards, which are going to be super cool. And who knows what's going to happen. Like, I think down the road with Project 2020, there was stuff that changed and stuff that the set blew up, and I think Topps probably if I had to guess, they probably weren't expecting the set to go the way that it did. So as things changed throughout the process, they probably got some revenue and some money that came in on the set that they weren't expecting. So that's probably one of the main reasons why I think we could see changes. My prediction is that I think with how Project 2020 went, I don't expect this one to go not haywire, but I don't expect it to go like super crazy, kind of the way that Project 2020 did, because we saw like the first few cards were in that 1,000 to 2,000 range, and then the set itself kind of blew up, and those cards became super expensive, like selling for thousands of dollars. Like the Ichiro #1 Ben Baller card from the last set, there were tons of sales of that over like a few hundred and maybe even $1,000. So that's what sort of blew the set up into kind of maybe more of the flippers. But what ends up happening with that is that people who are flipping and people who aren't in the sports card industry don't exactly understand the print on demand concept, and they don't understand that Topps is going to print as many as are ordered, and that is one of probably the main issues. Like the Keith Shore Griffey card had almost 100,000 printed, so I don't expect the print runs to get that high. I think if there's any like special edition cards, like if there's any collaboration cards, I expect those to be probably a little bit higher, but I don't really expect the product to be in this super crazy 100,000 print run. I wouldn't be surprised if it got higher than 10,000, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it stays in the like 1,000 to 3,000 range. I guess I hope that it doesn't come to a point where these cards are selling for what they did for Project 2020 at the beginning, just because I don't want history to repeat itself, because I think a lot of people probably got pretty burned on that set, and they bought a bunch of the cards and they either couldn't sell them or didn't have the ability to sell all the cards that they bought for any type of profit. So I'm excited to see where this set goes, but the first 3 cards are out now. You can go to Topps and buy them, so I am excited to see what other cards are going to be coming out. If you have any cards that you're excited for, any new artists, make sure you leave them in the comments. I would really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.